back, everybody, to another Star Wars video, joined by the two usuals with
Jonah Morgan
and
Logan Wilson.
And today, since we have finished talking about reviewing every single Star Wars movie, we decided to go ahead and give you our collective ranking of all 9 Star Wars movies. Just the Skywalker saga.
We
don't care about Solo or Rogue One, don't.
Well,
they're not the Skywalker saga.
Do we want to quickly talk about those? Because, like, this is a collective Star Wars list, like, just very briefly.
You know what? Sure, we'll sum up our thoughts for... We'll sum them up. So, Rogue One?
I'll say to me, it's the tiniest bit boring, because, like, I love lightsabers. To me, it's the tiniest bit boring, but the story is very good.
That's why I feel like, because, and it plays a part into the
And it has
story.
one of the greatest Star Wars scenes, or one of my favorite scenes in movie history, where with Vader at the very end. It's one of the best scenes in Star Wars history.
It is great.
And then Solo, I think, is just, meh.
Yeah.
There's really good parts of it, like, I like Donald Glover as Lando, and then Maul, even though they haven't done anything with that yet, hopefully they do. Yeah. But I just think it's meh.
Yeah, for me, Rogue One, I feel like is a really good movie because, there's no lightsabers, but because the story is as interesting as it is, and because it plays a part into the actual Star Wars story that explains how they got the Death Star plans, I feel like it's really good.
Right.
You can go and say your Rogue One thoughts.
It's good. I don't have much thoughts about that movie. It's just good.
Solo.
Yeah. It's just meh.
It's mid.
Yeah. It goes in the bottom if I were to like.
Yeah, that's what
if I were to put these within my Skywalker saga list.
Solo bottom. I put Rogue One like.
Rogue One would be top 5.
Really, I put it middle to like right above the middle, which I think is like top 5.
I would probably put Rogue One for me probably like. In between A New Hope and Attack.
It's just a different pace. It's a different kind of movie than any other Star Wars.
Solo would probably be in between Rise and Phantom for me. It would probably be like number 9.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get into that.
Anyways, so starting up the list, at number 9 we have...
Oh, we're going... Okay.
Yeah, at number 9 we have...
So we all made our individual list, and then we compile and compromise it into
our
one
lists are pretty similar, minus a couple things, but...
And we'll talk about
the middle gets a little hazy for us.
Yeah, the middle... But at number 9 we have...
Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi.
And you personally, Logan, had Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, I had Rise last.
Which I completely...
Right. I just felt that the bad in Rise was strong enough to just put it at that 9 spot for me.
I definitely see that.
But I can absolutely compromise and say that the Last Jedi
is very bad.
It's just awful.
So I can compromise and I can say...
And we don't really have to elaborate on why this is the bottom. We just did this.
Yeah.
Not long
ago. There's videos.
So we'll talk about why it's at this spot.
Because the only things that save this movie for me are some of the acting and the visuals. Those are the only 2 things that save this.
Mark Hamill tried so hard.
He really only just Mark Hamill and the visuals are the only thing that are even worth mentioning. Are good.
Yeah, we'll elaborate on why these are at their certain positions. But Last Jedi, there's not a whole lot.
There's not enough to save it from.
There's not a lot to say, and there's not a lot you need to say because it's already all been said.
Right. But at number 8 we have The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, Rise of Skywalker. I got the list.
I got it on my channel. Let's go.
Well, I got the official looking pad.
Anyways,
he's got the pad.
But so, Logan, you just said you would have this movie at the bottom.
I would have this movie at the bottom, but it's like they're both. I had them the same. If you watch our Rise video and our Last Jedi video, I have them the exact same.
I have it personally above Last Jedi because I think it's more entertaining.
Same. Yeah,
I think because the last scene is like such a big scale. It's entertaining. There's not as much fan service as I would like there to be, but there's still fan service and all the voices.
Totally
and stuff.
Totally valid. There's a lot of good in that movie, and there's a lot.
And then
bad.
as we talked
there's a lot of bad.
As we talked about like a couple minutes ago in the Rise of Skywalker review, the Palpatine reveal is good. Not that he's alive. No.
Yeah,
that Rey's a Palpatine.
Yeah, I thought that was fun. But yeah, Rise of Skywalker, I feel like there was more to enjoy and there was just more good in this film compared to Last Jedi.
But there's still definitely bad.
Because I feel like the bad stuff in Last Jedi was just so much worse that it's hard to enjoy that. Whereas with Rise, there's plenty to enjoy where I could see myself rewatching that movie again.
Okay.
That's totally valid.
Okay.
I think it's fine there.
Yeah 6 and 7 is where it gets a little bit...
So 7, so preface, there's a giant gap between number 8 and number 7. 7, on the collective list, we have Force Awakens.
Okay. Yeah.
So the bottom 3 is all sequel trilogy in the collective list, but Force Awakens is by far the best of the worst.
Yes, easily. Because I still stand by that this is still a really good movie.
So, yeah. So, in my list, the bottom 3 is, like we've said, Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, Force Awakens. But at 7 here, you have Phantom Menace, that was the main thing we talked about. We had to compromise and stuff.
Yeah, because I personally think that Force Awakens is better, but I can understand its issues.
They're such different movies.
Yeah, but that's the problem is that Phantom Menace itself is just such a different movie in general.
Right.
That's the thing. But anyway, but with Force Awakens, I would personally have a little bit higher, but I'm okay with it being 7 because of the fact that there's such a massive gap.
Yeah,
between 8
I
and
have
7.
I have written down here that there's just a huge these top 7 are just
There's
like
a gap,
different list.
There's
a different list.
There's a gap between Rise of Skywalker and Phantom Menace the size of the Sarlacc pit.
Yes.
Like, because Force Awakens was a great setup to this trilogy, a great introduction to these characters.
I liked it better on rewatch.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I still really like it.
I think even on my list, I had a prequel film below it.
Yeah, we'll talk about that here in a second. Okay, so we're ready for 6.
And number 6?
6, we have Phantom Menace. Now, me personally, I put this at. Oh no, I accidentally put it at 6. I meant to put it at 5. I would put it at 5. I love Phantom Menace. It's such a different movie, and it's kind of slower paced, and I completely understand why it is the bottom of the prequels. I completely understand it. I'm not going to argue with Eva a little bit.
I had this one at the second in my prequel rankings. I had that above. I had mine stupid high.
You had this at 5. You had it at 5.
Right.
So we're at 6 right now. You had this at 5.
I had it at 5. That's right. I did.
But I mean, Phantom Menace, it's a good movie. I liked it a whole lot more rewatch. A whole lot more. But there were still some parts about it that I was still very iffy on. There's still a lot of, well, not a lot, but there's several characters whose acting is still not great. There's
slower.
There are a couple bad characters. It's pretty slowly paced in some cases.
They were on Tatooine a long time.
And that's why.
Yeah.
So I personally put Force Awakens above this, but I still think this is a really good movie and a solid start to the prequels.
If Maul is in more of the movie, and if they're on Tatooine less time, this movie would be very different.
Honestly, all I really need to bump the Force Awakens above Force Awakens is if some of the acting was better. Honestly, if Natalie Portman and Jake Lloyd's acting were like good all throughout.
Mainly Natalie Portman is what I know.
If they were good all throughout, I would hands down say this is better than Force Awakens.
Because you're watching it, you're like, oh, he's a kid. He's a bad actor still, but he's a kid. But like Natalie Portman,
I'd never give kids the benefit of the doubt.
He's ruthless.
I stand by this. Being a kid is not an excuse for being a bad actor.
But but Natalie Portman, I think, is still a worse actor somehow. I stand by that. I think Natalie Portman's a worse actor.
In that movie, I would agree. But yeah, Phantom Menace, solid start to the trilogy. I think, especially when I rewatched it, it gets more hate than it
sets up well.
Yeah, it's a good setup. Number 5.
5, we have Attack of the Clones. Now, here is where it got a little bit messy.
I don't know if I'd say messy.
Not messy, but
6 and 7 is where I got a little more messy.
We came to a conclusion. You had Attack at 7.
7.
But you said there was a big gap between Attack of the Clones and Last Jedi, which I would hope there would be.
Right.
But you had Attack, and I did too. Before thinking about it more, so he has Attack above New Hope.
And I only say that because of the fact that I don't even know because I put those two movies on the same level.
I thought about it again.
Let me stress this enough. These movies I think are on par to where like they flip around for me.
They're very different.
Something about that Star Wars movies. They're all different.
But like day and night different.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean even still it's when doing a list like this, they're all different. You can't exactly compare them, but I mean, on rewatch, I loved Attack of the Clones a lot more than the first time.
I told him he was going to. I said, dude, you're going to love this movie.
Even when you told me that, I was like, I didn't mind it when I'm watching it.
And then you somehow liked it even more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the same thing with Phantom Menace, too.
Except in this case, I say it was more than Phantom Menace, because here, the only things I really didn't like was, I thought Hayden Christensen's acting was mid. But like the Anakin and Padme stuff was not in as much of the movie.
Ewan McGregor is so good.
But anyway, Anakin and Padme, that whole like dynamic, whatever, was not as in as much of the movie as I remember. It takes
less time than you remember it.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's why I enjoyed it so much because I loved watching the whole Obi-Wan detective stuff
and
that entire final act.
Then the Geonosian.
The final third of the movie was fantastic.
And the Dooku, yeah.
No, I did miss the attack review with you guys. I wasn't there for that watch.
We praised that movie, man.
Really? See,
I started to give it 8, and I'm like, well, no, wait a second.
Yeah,
my opinion might be changed if I have watched it recently.
Right, yeah.
But when
like
I watched, like the last time I watched it, and almost every time I watch this movie, the writing between Padme and Anakin,
the writing's not great.
Is so atrocious.
It's so awkward.
It's so awkward. Their acting is not that amazing.
I think Natalie Portman got better.
She got better.
Had to.
Well, she's better in this movie than Phantom,
Right.
and then, of course, you get to the third one.
I blame the script more than I blame them, but it still wasn't great. And I find myself watching that film and skipping through a lot of it.
And one of the only people that you skip through all like
because
and
I'm
one of the
so
only people
bored.
that makes that script work is Ewan McGregor.
Right.
Because he makes every single prequel movie he's in.
He's great.
Anyways, but I don't know, just something on rewatch. Like, I did not mind the Anakin and Padme stuff because it wasn't as much as I remembered. And even though there were some awkward moments, most of the time I didn't mind it.
They act like high schoolers that are on a first date, which is understandable.
I mean, it's honestly what they are.
It's honestly what they are.
It's what
Yeah,
they are.
100%.
But yeah, so Attack is number 5. Not exactly on most lists. You would probably see this a little bit lower. But
Yeah. And so now number 4, we're getting into the good.
really good.
4 is A New Hope.
It started it all. It was the first.
I initially in my first list I had it below Attack of the Clones, but I morally can't do that again. So I understand I understand it, but New Hope.
Yeah,
is
again,
definitely-
those two movies flip frequently.
Yes,
It
yeah.
depends on my
all these can somehow, like, if you have a different list, that could be because like you watched one of the movies more recently than one of the other
for
ones
sure.
or whatever. Yeah,
But A New Hope is still a great movie.
I love
It's what started Star Wars as a whole.
Yeah.
And it introduces so many iconic characters with Luke, Han, Leia, Vader, Chewie.
And then like I rewatched it like recently, like after we did. I think it was after I did Return of the Jedi where I watched A New Hope. And when Ben Kenobi talks about Anakin, it meshes so perfectly with like what happens in Revenge of the Sith.
I mean, they wrote the prequels around those movies so well.
Yes, that's one of the reasons I love the prequels so much is because he talks about Ben Kenobi. He says Darth Vader killed Anakin Skywalker, which
it's pretty much
exactly what happened.
Right.
But
he said I saw him as a brother, and they call each other brothers all the time.
So good.
And he says, "You're my brother, Anakin, in Revenge of the Sith."
Yeah, no, those movies were written so
New
well.
Hope,
The New Hope is fantastic. It's probably the best way they could have started Star Wars as a
Oh,
whole.
and you have to remember, like at the time, this was a low budget.
It wasn't even. It was put in only like a couple of theaters.
And then George Lucas, he had to get approval from people that were kind of iffy about the whole thing. And it was the best decision they ever made.
It was a total pipe dream from George Lucas.
Yes, and that's why everything you see is practical. Like I saw a video about this where there's a scene where Luke is going across Tatooine in his like speeder car thing. There's a mirror below it, so it's not CGI. There's a mirror, but like the thin mirror they put below the thing to make it look like it's floating. It reflects the sand around it.
That's
cool.
No,
I need to show you that. It's really cool.
It's impressive how well that movie holds up today.
It still really holds up.
It still holds up to today's standards. I mean, obviously the camera technology wasn't
the only thing
amazing.
that's kind of iffy is like, obviously lightsaber dueling is not going to be great in whatever.
But like, I go back and I watch like the Blu-ray re-release without all the CGI ads that they added like in the early 2000s. But it's the original theatrical cut with just like updated. It just kind of updates the visuals of it to make it look like it was shot on a better camera.
Yeah.
And it still holds up today.
It holds up.
Like it looks like a modern
It
movie.
really does hold up.
This movie really holds up. Still has a great script, great characters, and it was a great start to Star Wars. Now, number 3 was actually one that I was a bit surprised that we put where it is, but I'm totally okay with this one upon rethinking about it.
Number 3 is Empire Strikes Back.
Okay, this can be argued to be the best Star Wars movie.
And I think it is the best movie, but as far as our favorite now,
I personally,
it being number 3 is still like, oh my gosh, it's good. Like
these top 3 are
insane.
These top 3 are some of like the best movies in general.
Empire Strikes Back is where Vader really becomes the staple of the
This movie really shows
Terrifying.
that. I think this is one of the first movies to really show that the heroes don't always win.
Yeah, like
the heroes lose
because at the end, one of the very last scenes is Luke getting his hand cut off. That's and like the last scene you see is him getting the new hand and everything. They lose.
Yeah,
Right.
They lose.
They lose.
And-
Han, I mean, Luke realizes
Yeah,
that
Han-
Vader's his father.
A lot of people think Han died.
Yeah, I mean, when that movie came out, people thought
Han was dead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
because
talked to my
they
dad
froze
about
you. They were like, was that like cement? Basically.
Yep, I've talked to my father about that. Oh
Thought
my
he was
gosh,
dead.
he left the theater almost in tears.
So did my dad. My dad thought
Yeah.
that Han Solo was dead.
He was like, oh my
And the
gosh,
fact that his
that's crazy.
the last line he has in this movie is improv, I love. She says I love you, he says I know. I love that that's improv.
But yeah, Empire was just a great continuation of this trilogy. It was great to show that like the heroes don't always win, and it's understandable if you think this is the best Star Wars movie, which
That's valid.
I think it is the best, but favorite is different than best.
I personally think another one is just in general the best but yeah, that's
For the time, Empire holds up so well.
Absolutely.
easily because they had
The visuals look stunning, like Cloud City and stuff.
because they had a bigger budget and they put
Absolutely,
this in every single
And
theater.
then for
1980.
80.
Was that 80?
For 1980, Cloud City looks incredible. Bespin looks.
That is one thing I will say is the like re-releases in the early 2000s, the whatever kind of it was, the Celebration Edition or something like that. That actually, I liked that cut of the movie better because Bespin looks 10 times better.
Really?
And Cloud City, like, if you've never seen that, watch like a side by side of like the hallways and corridors.
The hallways, okay.
Yeah, we'll watch that later.
I still think
But
it's
yeah,
great.
so yeah, Empire's number 3 and number 2.
Return of the Jedi.
This was one I actually didn't expect, but upon thinking about it more, I enjoy this.
Rewatch.
I enjoy watching this over Empire, which is funny because for our list, the original trilogy just gets better with each one.
You see Luke become a real
This is where Luke becomes.
Jedi.
This is
this is
where he reaches his peak.
He's
right. I had this one at 1.
Yes, you had this at 1.
This has always been my favorite Star Wars film. I grew up and I would watch this movie like 2 times.
And I will not even come close to arguing with it or blaming you. No, it's so good.
It is probably the best way that this movie could have ended this trilogy.
And the lightsaber duel at the end holds up well now.
It's
It's
so
good.
good.
It's really good. Yeah.
It's better than every single fight in the sequels, but that's not hard.
It's really good. Even though at the time, even still, like the Vader costume is not easy to move around in.
No,
it's like the whole thing with how Batman used to be, where you have to turn your entire
turn.
body.
Yeah,
to
with
turn.
the Michael Keaton suits.
Yeah, it's really. But yeah, the guy that was in it, I forgot his name. He died a couple years ago.
David Prowse, something like that.
That sounds correct. He did so. Yeah, he learned how to do it. He did it, and he makes it look so effortless, like moving around, and doing it. It's really good.
But yeah, this movie was just an incredible end to the trilogy. And upon thinking about it more, it is probably my favorite of the original trilogy. Because I remember giving it a score of a 9 out of 10 in the review. And the more I think about it, I would probably bump that up to like a 9.5.
You put it number 2. I ended up putting it. I put Empire right above it, but I switched it, and then you put it 1.
Number 1 is not going to be surprising in any way, shape, or form because it's Revenge of the Sith.
Number 1 is Revenge of the Sith. Okay. Yeah, you initially had this one, but then you're like, I haven't seen it in a while. Right. I'm gonna bump it to 2, which
because I think most of the time, like if I were to sit down and watch all through every Star Wars movie, like just in one sitting, I would come out and say Return is the top.
It leads into New Hope seamlessly.
Yeah,
there's
absolutely.
nothing. Yeah, it
no unanswered questions. It's just
there's that scene where it's like a couple years after where they're building the Death Star that you see Vader and Palpatine looking out.
But yeah, this movie, I personally still think. I say that this is just the best Star Wars movie because the good that this movie does is just so good.
I forgot that the last shot of the movie is Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, like standing on that hill looking at the sun, which is what you see Luke doing. I forgot that was the last shot of Revenge of the Sith,
because
which I think is cool.
Because all the problems I had with like Hayden Christensen acting, I think he's good.
He gets way better.
He gets way better.
It's like this.
Like I think he's a
more
really
confident
good actor here. And even though the whole Padme dying of a broken heart thing was a little bit.
You could also argue that she died
from
childbirth and she got choked, so her airway was like.
Yeah, so like the more I think about it, you can like.
She could have very well died.
So like you could very well like just excuse it, which is what I do. So I personally say this is the best one just because.
Is it perfect? No, but it almost is.
I personally think it's pretty dang close.
Oh, but it's really close.
It's incredible.
But there is really no such thing as a perfect movie.
Right, for sure.
Because there's always going to be like that one thing. But yeah, this is my personal favorite. I think all of our favorites.
Our favorite. You need to watch it again.
Yeah.
You see, if I watch it, it's going to be my 1 until I watch Return.
Because what year did it come out?
2005.
The duel makes it look like it came out now.
That's
The
true.
duel makes it look like it was
I
performed
think
by.
because of the Anakin versus Obi-Wan fight, because of that being like the best scene in Star Wars in my opinion.
Because if
Fight choreographer,
if you release that now, and it looks like they're professionals doing it. No, it's Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen.
Yeah, no, it's the actors.
The only
They
thing you
all
see stunt
practice.
doubles in is when they do like those giant, like they get pushed back, giant falls or whatever. But everything else, like them,
That is
like
not
going
good.
really fast, that's really
No, they're
cool.
trained to do that.
And I've seen where like they could both still do it. They could both still do a lot of the choreography,
Anyways, but
which they'll do in Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I'm so ready for Kenobi.
Anyways,
Oh my God.
so
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
we still stand by that. This is like my favorite Star Wars movie. All pretty much our favorite Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
It's probably the best. Easily one
up
of the
there.
best. And yeah, that's
Yeah,
pretty much gonna
that's
do
it.
it.
You think-
We'd say we like if you haven't seen Revenge, go see it, but you kind of have to see. If you haven't seen the prequels or the original trilogy, fix that and just don't
Fix
bother
it, please.
Don't bother with the sequels. No matter how good Force Awakens is, it's not worth it to watch that just to get so disappointed so quickly.
That's true.
But yeah, so I hope y'all enjoyed the ranking of the Star Wars movies. Let us know what your rankings are if you've seen all of them in the comments below.
Truth.
And if this comes up next week, be sure to stay tuned for the Batman review at some point because we're all really looking forward to that.
I'll still have this. I'm keeping this in every single video.
That's right.
It's gonna be a recurring prop. It's fine.
That's just
It's okay.
Anyways, thank y'all for watching. See y'all later, Whippets.